Hello, history enthusiasts, and welcome back to the Alternate History Channel. Our journey through the annals of time has taken us through wars, revolutions, and groundbreaking events. Today, however, we're delving into the life of a singular figure whose profound impact on the world cannot be overstated. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join our community of thinkers and dreamers. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s voice resonated with millions during the tumultuous 1960s, a voice for justice, equality, and non-violence. Yet, in 1968, that voice was silenced, a tragedy that left many wondering, what if? Today, we'll explore the potential path of history had Dr. King not been taken from the world prematurely. A path filled with speculation, hope, and a reflection on what might have been in a world where Dr. King's dream had more time to unfold. The late 1960s in America were a tumultuous period marked by significant social, political, and cultural changes. At the heart of the civil rights movement stood Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a beacon of hope and a symbol of nonviolent resistance against racial segregation and discrimination. His leadership, from the Montgomery bus boycott to the March on Washington, culminated in transformative legislative outcomes, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. However, the struggle for equality was far from over. As King's activism evolved, so did the challenges he faced. He began confronting economic disparities and speaking out against the Vietnam War, garnering both admiration and controversy. By 1968, King's advocacy was not just seen as a threat by white supremacists, but also by some powerful entities within the US government. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, had been covertly monitoring King for years, viewing him as a potential communist threat. There has always been speculation, albeit unproven, that the FBI played a more sinister role in King's death. Such theories suggest that his assassination was part of a larger conspiracy to stifle the civil rights movement and prevent it from merging with anti-war activism. So, as we delve into this alternate history scenario, we consider, what if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had not been assassinated on that fateful day in Memphis? What if the alleged conspiracies against him had not succeeded? Or even if they didn't exist at all? How might the trajectory of America's civil rights movement and its broader socio-political landscape have shifted? Let's embark on this journey of exploration and ponder the possibilities. Had Dr. King survived the attempts on his life, the immediate aftermath would have seen a heightened security and protective bubble around him, much like with other high-profile figures who faced significant threats. But Martin Luther King Jr. was not one to be easily deterred, and his resolve would have only strengthened. With his continued presence, the Poor People's Campaign, a movement he initiated to address economic justice for all Americans, would likely have gained even more momentum. A successful gathering of a multiracial army of the poor in Washington, D.C., could have led to a more significant focus on socio-economic reforms in the US. King's growing anti-Vietnam War sentiment would also have played a more prominent role in the national conversation. His powerful voice, combined with his massive following, could have galvanized even more substantial anti-war protests and potentially accelerated the US's exit from Vietnam. The speculative FBI conspiracy, had it been exposed in this alternate timeline, would have caused a massive public outcry, further eroding trust in government institutions. King, leveraging this incident, might have used it to highlight the dangers of unchecked government surveillance and the importance of civil liberties. Furthermore, King's evolving views on global human rights would likely have seen him forging alliances with leaders and activists beyond US borders. The civil rights movement could have thus transformed into a broader global human rights movement, connecting struggles from apartheid in South Africa to challenges faced by the Dalits in India. However, it's crucial to recognize that with King's continued activism, the challenges and opposition he'd face would intensify. The broader his agenda grew, the more adversaries he would have, ranging from staunch conservatives to radicals within the civil rights and Black Power movements who disagreed with his methods or objectives. In a world where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. continued his work into the latter decades of the 20th century, the civil rights landscape would have evolved differently. Firstly, with King's leadership, the civil rights movement might have maintained more of its initial cohesiveness. The late 60s and 70s saw a fracturing of the movement, with new groups and ideologies coming to the forefront. King's unifying voice might have acted as a balancing factor among various factions, potentially reducing infighting. Dr. King's emphasis on economic justice would likely have brought about a more concerted push for reforms that address economic disparities in the US, especially those that disproportionately affect minority communities. The focus of the civil rights movement might have expanded more robustly to include issues of housing, healthcare, and employment discrimination, potentially leading to earlier and more comprehensive legislative actions in these areas. The trajectory of American politics might have been altered as well. Dr. King's influence could have fostered a stronger alliance between civil rights activists and progressive politicians, leading to a more formidable and united front on various issues at the local, state, and national levels. Globally, with King's push for a more extensive human rights movement, the US might have seen stronger alliances with global human rights initiatives. His association with anti-apartheid leaders, for example, could have pushed the US to take a firmer stance against apartheid much earlier than it did. However, it's essential to understand that King's extended presence wouldn't necessarily mean a smoother path towards justice. The challenges and backlashes against racial and economic progress would continue, perhaps even intensify, given the expanded scope of his activism. Yet one thing remains certain. Dr. King's legacy, had he not been assassinated, would have continued to be a beacon of hope, resilience, and unity. His teachings, speeches, and actions would have further cemented his place not just as an American icon, but as a global symbol for justice, peace, and equality. And there we have it, a world where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. continues his work, shaping the course of American history and influencing the globe in profound ways. It's essential to remember that while we may speculate, the reality is that the loss of Dr. King is a wound that has left an indelible mark on our history. His teachings and legacy persist and inspire countless individuals every day. Yet by exploring these what-if scenarios, we don't merely play with history, we gain a deeper appreciation for the ripples that one life, one voice can create. Thank you for joining us on this introspective journey. If this episode resonated with you, or if you have thoughts on other ways history might have shifted, please share in the comments. We love hearing from you. Remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel with fellow history enthusiasts. Until next time, keep questioning, keep imagining, and let's continue to ponder the endless possibilities of our shared past.